In with the flag salute, and as we say the flag salute, let's remember our brave men and women who gave their lives for our freedoms. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we welcome everybody to the May 28th Marion County Commission meeting. Would you like to make any public comments today? No. Okay. Anyone online? Doesn't look like we have anyone online for public comments. So we'll move into agenda approval. Any additions to the agenda? If not, the agenda stands approved and we are ready to move into administrative business.
Okay, all I have today is the minutes from May 20th.
Okay. Commission has had a chance to review the minutes. Any corrections? If not, is there a motion to approve?
I'll make a motion to approve the
Okay.
May 20th as presented.
Okay. Commissioner Becker made the motion, second by Commissioner Gehring. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, in your packet, you had a resolution number 2007-06. A few weeks back, you had asked about who sets the work release fees, et cetera. And so the commission actually does. And the last time that was done was in 2007. So that was just for your information. If you decide that you want to schedule a work session with the sheriff's office to discuss or to make changes, then just we could do that. So.
Would you like to follow up?
Well, I'd like to at least ask the sheriff if he has an approximate percentage of inmates that we actually collect anything from.
Well, I think if you're gonna do anything, just ask if there's anything we need to adjust. I mean, just see,
Kind of a report.
yeah, just sort of see how it works. If it's not working, well, let us know. I mean,
All right. Yeah, Tina, let's schedule that with the sheriff and get an update on activity, and then if he has any suggestions for changes.
Okay. In your packet, you also had from the Conservation District their feedback on the 30/30 initiative. So that's just a letter in your packet. And they will be coming, I think, Monday for their budget request.
Okay.
Let's see. I've given you the administrative report. I don't know if anybody had questions about anything.
Another busy week.
Yes. Okay.
I guess just a quick reminder to everybody that 290th will be closed. We'll have one lane open for local traffic, but that construction project begins today.
Today, right?
Just to make sure the public is aware of that. And then also want to note that the Santa Fe Trail Cottonwood Crossing historic site looks nice.
Yeah, I drove by there. I don't know how long it'll take them to get the kiosk, but the parking area looks nice.
Yes, Road and Bridge did a nice job with that.
Okay, and I think that 290th is scheduled to be closed until the middle of July.
Right.
So I guess I didn't put that on this report, I don't think. Sorry about that. There are a couple of closures that the railroad is closing for some work the early part of this week. So also the filing deadline for the primary election is Monday, June 3rd at noon. So that includes all county offices, some cities, all the township treasurers and trustees, and then all the precinct committee, and then some cities have offices that are up. So And something new this year, which just took effect, is that if somebody wants to file by a write-in campaign for a national, state, or county office, then they have to file an affidavit before July 15th for the primary. And then otherwise, we won't be counting those write-in votes for those offices. So we don't have to count the Mickey Mouses and all of that.
So,
That'd be great.
Yeah, for cities and townships, it's all of our cities, we will still have to count those, and the townships and
The
those.
affidavit is new.
Yes, that's a new thing that's just taking effect up for this election for the first time.
okay, so July 15th passes. Something happens between July 15th and the election. And whatever position, a county position happens. And so the public wants to run a write-in campaign to put a person in. But the deadline's passed, so you couldn't do that?
I believe that is correct. July 15th is the deadline, because there has to be an affidavit filed by the candidate that says that those votes should be counted, that they are running write-in. So that's new. So
I mean,
anyway.
y'all see what I'm getting at, the gap in there, that, you know, if something happened to an elected person in between that time, you couldn't run a write-in campaign and get on the ballot, I mean, or win.
Or let's say there's only one name on the ballot. Heaven forbid that candidate moves or
Right.
something
Well, and
happens.
keep in mind, this is the primary. This isn't the
Oh,
ballot where
okay.
the people are actually elected.
Okay, so there is still a chance for the
Or
write-in.
in the general. So I'd have to read all of that, but that's just a new rule this year
For the primary.
for
Write-in primary, okay, that,
would
that makes
more
sense.
likely happen in the general anyway.
yeah, well,
Right,
we'll have to review that and see, because since it's brand new, we don't
Yeah.
know all the details of it yet.
Okay, well thanks for explaining that.
yeah, I just thought they was taking a chance away there when we was first looking at it, but the general, yeah, is it still open for write-in?
Okay, let's see. One thing that we did last week, we talked about the upcoming land bank meeting, but I had the date wrong. The land bank doesn't meet until July, it's not June. So maybe you want to delay a decision on whether to cancel that meeting until a little closer to it. 'Cause I was thinking it was supposed to be this coming Monday, but that's wrong. It's supposed to be in July, the first meeting in July. So.
We can address that at the last June meeting.
There we go.
So bring it back up a little closer? Okay, sorry about that. I guess I'm jumping ahead. I'm trying to keep track of all these dates, so.
But the meeting that wasn't scheduled is still canceled.
Yes, it is. Oh, my goodness.
But did it still stand?
Okay, good deal. Sorry about that.
Meeting that wasn't gonna happen.
Oh, my goodness. Okay,
Gotta keep that excitement in the air.
I know, right?
I was thinking June was the start of the quarter, but it's July.
All right, I'm just going through so I don't miss something in the packet to go over.
See, we had 3 bids for fuel.
Yes,
That's
they were all very close.
very close.
Okay, so the next thing that I have in the packet was the discussion and potential appointment of a new candidate to serve on the Harvey-Marion County CDDO board. And so actually they are asking for 2 appointments. I've got them highlighted. So of course, we know Randy as county commissioner, his second term is ending at the end of June. And so there needs to be an appointment for a replacement for Randy. And then also there is a resignation. There's Mary Gill, and this was all in your packet, is currently serving, and her son is being recommended by that board to take her spot. And so they're asking for 2 appointments.
So far, I've heard from one commissioner in this room that he would step up to take up the Harvey CDDO if his name happens to be Commissioner Jonah Gehring.
Oh.
And so if nobody else really wants it or discussion, why, I would make that nomination for Jonah if nobody else really wants it. But if somebody wants to go down there, why, I'll let you guys talk.
I'll second that.
I was waiting for somebody to wanna start a debate.
I move that nomination cease.
I'm not quite sure of the formal process, but we have a nomination and a second and a motion, so if there's any further discussion, I'd say all in favor of Jonah Gehring being take Randy's spot on the board, say aye.
Aye.
And thank you for.
I don't think there's a conflict of interest, so I'll go ahead and vote for it.
Now you can give your campaign speech. So you've been elected.
Just on a discussion, I was trying to read through there. Does it specifically say that it needs to be an elected, or I couldn't find anything like that.
I don't think so.
I think Harvey County, what is it, Don Shorter?
Yeah.
Isn't he an elected?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So I mean, it's kind of an unspoken rule maybe, but
Yeah, maybe.
But it doesn't have to be, because it
Okay.
just says the Board of County Commissioners shall appoint 3 members who are residents of Marion
I
County.
don't think it's a bad idea to have somebody to keep feedback.
And ever since it's been in existence, we've always had a commissioner on it.
I think that's great.
Well, I know that was a topic a couple of meetings ago,
Yes,
so I just wanted to make sure, it's just an unspoken rule.
I didn't find it either, and so I was surprised because I thought that, one of the reasons why I thought that was because there was quite it was a new thing, and Northview had some problems, and that we didn't know what all was happening with the money that we give to them and stuff, and so that's sort of the reason why it was sort of put in. Maybe somebody could keep track of just exactly what's happening instead of having to ask questions all the time.
Okay, how much training time do you need to get Commissioner Gehring
He's
up?
good enough to go right now,
Oh,
but I think
Give him
probably.
an address, huh?
Probably need to have the director, I'll get in touch with him and maybe get together for an hour or so, or half hour or so, maybe ahead of the meeting next time or so, and that way catch him up a little bit. But the other one is Thomas Gill, that's Mary's son, and I'd also make that nomination. We talked it over down at the board meeting, that was probably a very good candidate, and that is for a special needs there person, is that what?
This is actually I believe this is the joint member between Harvey and Marion County, but this person is receiving services, so.
Yes.
I would second that motion.
we have a motion from Commissioner Dahlke, second from Commissioner Becker to name Thomas Gill to replace Mary Gill on the board. Any questions? Not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, and I will follow up with them I will follow up with Kevin and let him know the appointments, and then also provide Commissioner Gehring's contact information.
Cool.
Okay, we also had a board appointment for the Planning Commission.
Yes, that'd
Commissioner
be
Mueller.
for my district. The previous member did not want to serve another term, and so Dax Kennedy was interested in the position. I thought he'd do a good job. He's a contractor, interested in the county. So I would nominate, or I guess I'd make the motion to appoint Dax Kennedy to the Planning Commission Board of Zoning Appeals.
Second that.
Second by Commissioner Dahlke. Questions? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. If I'd got it in a week earlier, you could have gone to the meeting last week.
But the other person filled their term out, they was.
Yes. Yeah, January.
Okay, we do have, you had asked for a letter to be sent to Harvey County regarding the North Central Kansas Judicial Detention Facility. I didn't say that right.
North Central
Juvenile
Kansas.
Detention Facility, yeah. That's a lot of words.
Yes.
And so I do have that letter.
Commissioner had a chance to review it in the packet. Did you have any questions or concerns with the letter?
You recommend signing?
I certainly do.
Okay.
I thought it was very well done.
I'll make a motion then to go ahead and present the letter.
Okay.
8th Judicial District
Well, actually, this is to Gary County Commission.
of Geary County.
They're the ones that wrote the letter. We're responding to their.
So they need a representative.
Okay, we have a motion by Commissioner Becker. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
You didn't wanna just sign this one by yourself.
No. They all three signed theirs. We're all five gonna sign ours. And I will be representing the
I know.
points of the commission to the board.
You show up with only your signature. Especially when you're on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's got all of our fingerprints on it. Thank you. Next.
Okay. We do have a disaster declaration resolution for the storms on May 19th. I can't remember. I think I may have did I send you the draft ahead of the meeting?
Sent it this morning.
Okay, good.
Yes.
Sorry.
Not in the packet, but we received it.
Okay, so I just have that for your adoption, and it's Resolution 2024-11.
Okay, commission has had a chance to review it. Do you have any questions?
Just discussion.
Sure.
Remember, I was adamant about another deal that just had happened. I know our administrator will tackle this one a little differently than the last one. But it's very important we find out just exactly what they want, if there is any reimbursement, if they go through with it and stuff. And so I think emergency management sometimes wants to push things out. But I like to see a team effort to pursue whatever's needed. So either bring the information back so we can help too. I mean, we're not objective from it. It's
We'll get a report on it,
yeah. So
an update, and.
yeah.
But without the resolution.
Right, we can't do
We
anything.
can't
with that.
even file to be rejected, so.
So is there a
but
motion?
yes,
Is there a motion to approve the resolution?
So moved.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Goering to approve Resolution 2024-11, emergency disaster declaration for the storm on May 19th. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Dahlke. Further discussion or questions? All those in favor? Oh, sorry.
Reiterate what Randy said. If we can help here or just
Yeah.
be informed on receipts or somehow to get reimbursed for things, let us know.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. Glasses, here's this one.
I like them better when they got the names on them, when I don't sign it in the wrong place.
Okay, there's the resolution. Saw that.
Already done.
Okay, just note that I will be gone for payday meeting. I'm gonna be gone the 30th and the 31st, so.
Bye.
We're in good hands.
You guys can do all kinds of fun things, except it's limited to payday.
But I suppose you will put the second in command back in charge.
Actually, we'll take good care of it.
Okay, all right.
Ashley's already got all kinds of plans in place. It's gonna be a fun day.
Short. Okay, I had on the items for future consideration or discussion of whether or not to continue to have a representative on the mid-cap board. Randy, you had talked about this before.
Yeah, I don't know, just, I've got an email in there, it tells how many meetings that we're going to out of state, going all over the country, and the board, we changed directors about almost a year ago, and it probably is a year ago now. And the new director come in and said, well, spent quite a bit of money that could have been used for, I think, for what the mission statement of MidCap is to help the needy. And so we have to spend this money in such a hurry and different things. It was written up for a do better letter after a trip to a national meeting down in Florida or Georgia, and nothing come of that. All new board members are on there now and do not have any clue of what the old board has ever done. And if it was not for the 6 apartments, duplexes in Hillsborough, MidCap wouldn't know what Marion County is. But since prior dealings with the apartments there, they have a lot of dealings with Marion County. And so, just a direction that does not seem to fit from what I know of and I've been sitting on that board for a few years. And I strongly recommend it. There's no other county on that board, no other county that's even attempted to get on there. Harvey County gives $5,000 a year, but they make sure that $5,000 is spent in their county for some needs and stuff through MidCap. I think it's a waste of time at the present rate of what we see in production.
How much is Marion County done?
We don't donate anything. There's no money given, nothing like that.
I can see that. I mean, if we gave money, then you would want to see how that money is being spent.
Yes.
But I can see where you're saying we don't.
The only thing to keep in mind is those apartments are a pretty big issue. They've had a low attendance, and that they still have to pay money through MidCap, and it's quite an agreement that those 12 duplexes have to.
You're talking about the ones that are to be built?
No, that's the
That was
ones
the
that's
other,
already
the other one.
up on north end of
Right.
your street or the next street.
Lincoln.
North end of Lincoln, yes.
Yeah.
And then there's 2 over a separate.
One south of Casey's right there, and then there's one
Yes.
further back in.
They're not full.
West side.
No, and that's caused a problem because MidCap still has to pay money for them. And that was an agreement that was made.
But there's shortage of housing over there.
Well,
It's not big.
it's a low rent thing too. So
Oh,
anyway,
You don't
gotta-
qualify.
You gotta qualify for it too.
Yeah. Mhm.
Some people, I think, should be able to qualify, and then they get rejected. So I would wonder who could possibly qualify.
That's what Marion did away with qualifications for all their apartments.
Yeah.
They'll rent to anybody.
I'm got a meeting Thursday night. It's be my last meeting. I will have a farewell speech down there, and hope that they do better.
So what would our process be? Just not,
You can appoint somebody to go. I mean, give a recommendation. We could do that if anybody wants to go.
your recommendation would be not,
I see no use for Marion County. There's 19 counties in this thing, and it seems the general work is done in Butler and area down in that area. And some of the western counties, I don't know if they ever see a MidCap representative out there. So I think it's a government board that needs to be looked at by bigger people than us. Higher ups.
Need to go away, huh?
I'm just saying it needs to be looked at. It's got a good mission. It's got a good mission for people, but but not, don't seem to be, not everybody's getting, in this region, 19 counties is not getting looked at. And we've talked about improving, but don't seem to be.
Well, we appreciate you bringing that information. I know the previous reports were not too encouraging either. Very frustrating to hear. I would think that the consensus would be to follow your recommendation and support your position.
Maybe we could write a letter then that just says that there will be no more representative from Marion County for no appointment after this meeting.
If you have a recommendation on what we need to put in that letter, I think we'd be
I can
happy
work
to
with you.
support you with that.
Okay.
Excellent. Thank you, Randy.
Yeah.
So I have a question about the board's preference. Been working on getting some different scopes of work for items related to the facility here at the courthouse. So we're looking at doing a plan for the parking and adding a loading zone because that comes up regularly where we need a place to load and unload, do the sidewalks, things like that. So just letting you know that I've got Darren Neufeld, which is working kind of on a design for that, and maybe maybe like a phased plan to where we can do it in parts and pieces.
Good.
We're also, Kobe and I are working on custodial. I've been talking to you about that we're looking at contractual agreements with for custodial services for cleaning. And then also I've got a couple of landscaping proposals back, which would be a complete landscape. We've got the plan, but it'd be the complete landscaping of around the building, which would be taking everything out, putting everything back, putting things back in and putting it in as a long-term solution that it would be a low maintenance and should be a long-term kind of a solution.
Concrete.
I'm gonna ignore that.
Rock yard.
So what I would like to know is what your preference is as far as the approval, like on these custodial services, we were gonna have them come in and do an interview. Are you comfortable with Kobe and I doing those interviews and then just presenting recommendations and summary to the board for approval? That's gonna be a fairly large contract, but it's gonna be multi-facility, not just here.
Ricky?
Or do you wanna interview the people yourselves?
Tina, I appreciate what you've done very much. This comes from a statement somebody else made here in the last 3 months in this meeting room. Somebody said that we have probably I think it was maybe in relationship to grass,
Oh.
the prettiest or ugliest turf or something. I don't remember exactly, but it opened me up to say, okay, if you're looking at what you're looking at, what does the public want?
Yeah.
I mean, we can put what we want.
My thoughts is low maintenance, long-term, low cost.
And to highlight the building too.
Correct. Yeah, we've got a beautiful courthouse.
Yeah, I mean, it's.
We don't want it surrounded by dandelions.
AstroTurf.
Or
So this, just
Most
to,
crop of flowers we can grow around here is dandelions.
just to be clear, I'm not getting like an estimate to resod or anything like that. And it's really, we'll maintain the grass the way we can and do better with the weeds and all that. But I'm talking about the actual landscaping feature right around the building.
The new bushes and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm,
But you're talking long-term,
right.
and I'm just saying, and maybe I don't know, I've always just wondered what the public thinks about our building. I don't know whether we come up with a plan, present that to the public, or do what we.
You can't do that, you get 42 different ideals.
Well, I know we couldn't do it with you because you wouldn't let me plant a tree up there. You had a problem with the trees, and I want a tree out there around this courthouse, so.
We're gonna bring you.
Nobody
the best
wants trees
ideas.
on Main Street.
All right, let's bring it back.
So my first question is about the custodial services. Are you comfortable with Kobe and I doing the interviews and presenting recommendations on that?
I am.
Yes.
I am.
You
Consensus,
have to be
yeah.
in charge of them, so.
Yes.
Okay, the next one, on the landscaping, which is a much smaller scope. Okay. We have a couple of proposals back already. Are you comfortable with us just presenting that and then you guys can decide on it if we present the summaries and the bids?
That's agreeable.
Okay,
I see consensus to do that.
okay, then that's the way we'll approach that.
You
And
can
some-
put them together so we can do more appropriate comparisons.
At some point in the near future, we need to probably have the board decide what kind of a scope that financially that you want me to be able to approve without coming to you. But we don't have to do that quite yet, so, okay,
Does the courthouse have a well?
no.
Good question.
That's very important.
Right.
You're gonna have a nice yard,
Yeah.
you need a well.
Yeah, that's one reason, like, I'm not planning to probably water the grass very often.
Right.
You know, I think that most of you are probably gonna be happy if we get rid of the weeds and
Yes.
improve the grass and,
They do have a really good grass seed, but it takes about 2 years. It's called hybrid buffalo.
you have to reseed the whole lawn to do it.
Yes.
Okay.
Or overseed it anyway. I don't know that you'd kill the grass and then overseed it.
My neighbor's got it, he's on his 3rd year, it's finally looking good. Of course, the lawn
But
guys.
once it's established, it's.
Yeah.
You can handle about anything.
Buffalo is the original native grass for Kansas. So.
Okay, well, we look forward to those exciting proposals.
Okay, very good.
There will be much in-depth discussion. I can
Yeah, I'm
tell.
sure there will be. And then we'll probably need to start having some more discussion about the budget. Probably the next meeting, I'll schedule some time just to go over some questions and with all of you.
Sounds good.
That's all I have.
All right, that's it for administrative.
I believe so.
Thank you, Tina. Well, April, welcome.
Thank you.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you all. I had to laugh about the watering because my husband and I first bought our house in Manhattan. I said, man, we're gonna have to buy a lot of hoses. And he goes, for what? And I said, to water the grass. He goes, God waters the grass. So I've had to live with, it sometimes gets watered. Let me grab a couple more. Because I lived in town and it was a little yard. We had a well and it always looked nice. And the dandelions, I did read an article about how beneficial dandelions are. So I've gotten over the dandelion problem too, so.
Bee habitat.
Yeah, they're pollinators.
They do everything. They get the ground ready for stuff and I never knew.
I didn't.
And then they're in your salads too.
I
You know that?
don't really care for that.
When you
but
go
they
get
are
a
in
high dollar
the salad,
salad and you see that leaf that looks funny, that's a dandelion leaf.
I didn't know if you let them grow. Them dandelions this year's that tall.
yeah. Oh,
I mean, the green part of the plant, gee, me.
for sure. All right, so on to more serious matters.
Here we go now.
So, here I am again to deliver the audit. I noticed 10 days, we finished it 10 days sooner than last year, so that's awesome. Tina's always ready and always, even with her new position, which, what a great choice there. She is so knowledgeable and her replacement is doing a great job as well. So we came over and brought, I think 3 of us, maybe 4 of us came over and did the on-site field work. As you know, we always get things ahead of time. They upload it to us and we do a lot of the work before we come. The governance letter, I'm not gonna go over in detail. No issues or concerns this year. Everything was great. Documents were provided to us. The new treasurer has it really improvement from last year as far as just getting things back in place. You can tell a lot of work's been done there to get that lined out. The audit itself, if you'll turn to pages, starting with page 1, this is the independent auditor's report. So as I tell you every year, the financial statements are your responsibility. So even though we put them in this binder, it all comes from the information provided by Tina and her staff. Our job as auditors is to express an opinion as to whether we feel they're fairly stated in all material respects. So the 3rd paragraph in this report is where we give you our unmodified or clean opinion on GAAP. KMAG, excuse me. You guys do not report under GAAP. That's why every year you pass your GAAP waiver. Those first 2 paragraphs are dealing with GAAP. So 3rd paragraph is your clean opinion. We were not required to provide any testing on the federal money this year outside of the normal scope because you didn't exceed the $750,000 amount of expenditures, although we do look at the expenditures during the course of our work. If you'll turn to page 4, pages 4 and 5 are the financial statement for the county. Down the left-hand side are all the funds that the county uses to record the receipts and expenditures for the year. Essentially, a separate set of books is kept for each of these funds. So then if you will turn to page 5, we'll look at the totals. You started the year with $20 million. You took in 21.5 million. You expended 23.5 million, leaving you with unencumbered cash of 18 million. We do add back any outstanding encumbrances and accounts payable because they are deducted from your budget and included in expenditures, but we add them back to get to your reconciled cash balance because they have not yet been paid as far as year end. So you ended the year with $18,156,936. If you look down there below, you can see the various checking accounts, CDs, and then there was also some money in the Kansas Municipal Investment Pool at the end of the year. So you can see the total cash was almost 36 million, but about 17.8 of that belongs to others. And if you will keep your finger in that page, but then go to the very back page of the report, this is the 17 million that gets deducted. These are funds that have been collected on behalf of others. So most of it is ad valorem tax that's been collected on behalf of schools, cities, townships. So that very last far right column on page 61 down at the bottom, there's your 17,782,698 that gets subtracted out because it doesn't really belong to the county. Any questions on that? All right, the next several pages are the footnotes to the financials. They are required. I'm not going to read them to you. There are no new ones this year. So if you will turn to page 9, this is a summary of the debt of Marion County, the transactions in debt this year. No new debt issued in 2023. So you have 2 GO bonds outstanding. You have a Series 2017 and a Series 2022. And then you have multiple capital leases for equipment that you've purchased throughout the years. One of those was paid off this year, the Ventura mower white tractor. So no new debt in 2023. You started the year with $8,132,000 in debt. You ended with $7,197,000. All payments were made in accordance with payment agreements and time limits. And then the interest paid was $260,876. Page 10 is the maturity schedule for that debt. So you can see we give you 1 year at a time for the first 5 years and then buckets of 5 years for the remaining debt, assuming no new debt is issued and you don't pay anything off. More footnotes following that, and then we're going to go to page 15. Part of what we do when we do the audit is to look to make sure you complied with the Kansas budget law. So if you look at page 15, you can see the actual to budget comparisons. And so you can see that overall the county was under budget by $12,040,913 for the year. There aren't as many funds on this page as there are in the front because not all of your funds are budgeted funds. These are your budgeted funds. And then we're going to start behind this are all the funds that are listed where you get at least one page for every fund. The general fund gets more. So we're going to look at the general fund, which is page 16. This gives you more detail than you got on the front financial statement. It shows you the detail of the revenue you brought in. So you can see if you look at it's on 2 pages. Just for example, total taxes there at the top. You budgeted, you would bring in 3.8 million in taxes. You actually brought in 4.149, so over budget by 329. We always expect your revenues to come in high because you budget on the conservative side for your revenues. You can see that in that second section, intergovernmental revenue, again, you brought in 344,000 more than budgeted. Down at the very bottom, another big one this year is the interest on investments. So you're able to earn a lot better return on your money. So you can see that last year you earned 320,000, this year you earned 723. So a lot more interest income coming in. And then finally on, 757. I read the wrong number to you. And then finally on page 17, you can see total receipts. You budgeted 6.3 million, you actually brought in 7,079,596 during 2023. So about 2 million over budget. Another area that was over, if you look right up that last column, 362,000, the wind farm. You didn't budget any money coming in for that and you collected 362,000. Then we're going to flip to the next page, which starts the expenditures of the general fund. The budget law applies to the fund in total. So as you scan down through, the first category, I always pick on commissioners, you're under budget this year. So you're the first category. Your budget was 98,980. You spent 96,639, so you're under budget 2,300. And we're gonna pick on the county clerk, the old one and the new one both. They were over budget, but there were reasons, and I'm sure you know what those were. And it's fine because the budget law applies in total. So the overs and the unders net together to end up at the bottom, being under budget. So if you will turn to page 21, that's the end of the general fund. You can see it was under budget by $1,209,820. Behind that are all the other funds. I'm not going to go through those, but we will look at one fund to show what a non-budgeted fund looks like. So if you'll turn to page 49. Happen to grab that one. Page 49 is an example of a non-budgeted fund. So in that case, all you're going to see in the presentation is prior year and current year. So that's why those look different. They are the funds that are not required to be budgeted. You're getting ready to start that process again. So you now have a final audit to start with your good numbers. Any questions?
It's a lot of information.
Trying to keep it brief. First day after a long weekend, you know.
There you go.
All right, well, we're available all year long for any questions. If you read this later and have questions, please feel free to ask.
Still one page per fund on the non-budgeted?
Yes, all the funds are one page with the exception of the general fund. Yes.
Reading to do.
Got some reading to do. All right, thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
All right, Brad, we're ready for you?
Sharon coming in?
Yes.
Yeah, right there.
Should probably do it first.
Okay. How long would you like?
Ask her, I don't.
Sharon, how long should we,
15 minutes?
I guess we can always add if we need more.
Yeah.
And this would be for Brad, what would is it pending or potential?
Probably.
Pending.
Okay. I move that we recess to executive session in order to discuss pending litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B. Item 2, consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad, Tina, and Sharon for 20 minutes. We'll go from 1:15 to 1:35.
Second.
Oh, I said 15 minutes, so it'll be
You
1:30.
said 20, but
Oh, 1:15, sorry. 1:15 to 1:30. And the second was Commissioner Gary.
So we're going in for 15 minutes.
Correct.
Who's second?
Commissioner Gary. Any other questions on my time confusion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:30.
I just.
All right, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. Brad, what do you have for us next?
do need one more executive session on pending litigation. 10 minutes.
Okay, let's see if I can get the time. I move that we recess into executive session in order to discuss pending litigation pursuant to KSA 75-4319B for consultation with our attorney, attorney-client privilege with the commission, Brad and Tina, for 10 minutes. That'd be 1:33 to 1:43. Second by Commissioner Garing. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We will be back at 1:43. All right, we are out of executive session. No decisions made. Brad, anything else?
That's all for today.
Okay, very good. Next item we had on our agenda was elected official salaries discussion. Tina had given us information earlier. Where would you like to start?
Well, you all just said that you wanted to discuss it, and
Yes.
particularly the county attorney's wage. As we know, there is an attorney shortage right now, and so, than Mark, you know, I just, that's really all. So this is something that I've mentioned to you several times in the past, that you probably need to consider increasing the wage for that position. But it's just a matter of
What,
where to put it.
do we have any, so I know, Morris and Chase share the same guy. Do we know what kind of salary range they're paying?
It's less.
Well, there's also,
Two counties.
Yeah, it's all around the state, it's
And they're
like
everywhere. They're
kind of all over the place. Some of the, a little while back, the county clerks kind of tried to gather up some information on wages. And so, let's see, but they're very much different across the board, and it doesn't really tell you how they're divided. So like, you said which ones are sharing? What did you ask?
Morris and Chase.
So Chase has 50,000 on here, 50,606, and Morris. And again, this may not be completely up to date because it was just kind of trying to gather information. Morris has 77,856. So I don't know.
Sure, they're split, same one?
Alderson.
I just wondered how
You
you
can
can,
find out from their clerk probably,
I
but
just wondered how you can do that as an elected official. Does he appear, if you're gonna share one, they appear on the,
they would have to be elected in both counties, I
Yeah.
believe.
then I guess my question comes back to caseload. You know, what they're sharing, so what is their caseload? And then compare that to what is our caseload?
Kind of figured between the two of them, they ought to probably have the same caseload as us. But that still doesn't mean, that might be what they've listed, but if he's only part-time between the two, or is he actually getting that full amount? But probably, because it's an official position. I don't know. I'm just wondering, I'm just looking at it, trying to figure out what the right level of pay is.
it's hard to determine because Tina gave me 13 examples. And you got smaller counties paying more than big counties, and then some of the big counties you can't compare. And it's just everywhere, all over the place. And I'm sure that the shortage in attorneys is dictating some of that. There's counties that are our size or a little bit bigger that are paying them much more than what we are. So I don't know there's really no roadmap, per se. I know we've got a pay plan and we've got a top.
I mean, I just.
We know that's outdated though, too.
Yeah, that's about, from 2017 now.
Deadline to file is less than a week away,
Monday at
A
noon.
week away.
and we have no filings for attorneys. So that speaks in itself too.
So what
If
is,
somebody else was willing to sign up,
has there been any examples of a county not having anyone file for a county attorney?
probably costs us $500,000.
Yeah, you'd have to pay.
Contract everything.
You have to pay the $150 an hour.
Yeah, but if it's an elected position, I don't know how that works.
Yeah, if there was a vacancy, typically an elected position would be filled by the precinct committee and appointed by the governor. But if nobody even steps up for consideration, then I don't know what that, I haven't. we
You
need
have
to
to
ask
pay
the
an outside
question,
attorney
I don't know.
to do the work.
What happens, Brad?
But I guess there's no stipulation about a county attorney having to have residence in the
No.
county.
There's not. They can reside outside the county.
Should we compile a list of questions or information that we want gathered? Because I think we're grasping at straws to come up with a decision today. But perhaps we can at least focus on our questions that we want, or information that we want.
But is that going to keep us from having anybody on the,
Well, I've got to get an answer by next Monday.
Well, we don't necessarily, because when Joel came, that did happen, at the committee level, when Dave and I were there,
that was at the precinct?
at the
I
precinct.
was there.
So they ended up deciding between Joel and Susan.
Right.
That was to fill a vacancy outside of the election time.
But it was handled.
Through precinct
Precinct.
convention. So it, I mean, it can happen.
So we don't have to force it on Monday, but the time is still short.
Well, unless the commission is ready to make a decision.
I have no
If you're ready to make a decision or recommendation, I don't want to hold you up.
Salaries are just all over the place.
But for me, I just need more, if we could, I guess comparison, I keep coming back to caseload or workload. If there's a way of doing a comparison with other counties, with salary and
In
caseload.
comparison with counties of 15,000 or less.
Well, instead of by population, by caseload.
Sometimes you have low population.
You're
but
gonna
you
have,
a lot
you're
of-
gonna have some counties with 6,000 that are gonna have a huge caseload, and some counties with 15,000 that have less.
But that, I still come back to the salary should be commensurate to workload. I mean, that's my shot, but maybe I'm wrong. But I'm just trying to find a statistical method that can be justified. If you want to go based on population, we can have that information also. We could
Well,
go.
that's what we were looking at when we were looking at salaries.
Okay.
And that didn't help much because it's all over the place.
I bet Ford County would have 3 times their population caseloads per thousand.
Well, that's true too.
I mean,
So how about the spreadsheet of by salary, by caseload, and then by population? And put all 3 of them?
What's a case, Dave?
Well, how many court appearances, how many?
My point being,
Okay.
is I've set as city commissioner, city mayor, every time you get a new chief of police, oh, we got 500 cases. The guy called in a dog complaint, that's a case.
Okay, defined case.
You know, that's what I'm saying, your caseload.
Sure.
if one person have 10
Would be
cases.
filed cases then.
Well, I'm just saying it could be different things, and I don't
They
know.
have to be filed cases.
Definition would be critical, yes.
Yeah, it really would to judge,
That's a very good point.
judge it, and, cause different people call different things.
Well, and then
cases.
again, what difference between cases? You got one major court case that can take 2 attorneys the full year,
Yeah, I mean,
It's only one case.
and that's
Yeah.
one case. I mean, how do you measure
average
that?
About a
you
history,
average them.
about a history of recusals. There's another one you can throw in.
biggest one I've heard since I've sat here was when the deaths on Highway 50, what the caseload was gonna,
Sure.
what that was gonna be for the county attorney at that time.
That's a good point. So, I don't know, I'm just asking, what are some appropriate questions to ask?
I will say that if you're asking for all that information, that's gonna be very hard for me to get.
Okay.
I don't know, I thought maybe Jonah was a leader here and he was gonna take off and tell us what we should pay, is what I thought he was gonna do, but
No, I'm
I'm saying if you wanna look at a salary, Jonah, I'm looking at, what can we handle, what can we afford? I'm willing to listen to that, if we want, we're just discussing, we're not making no decisions right now.
attorneys. I'm glad for the attorneys that are on my side, but I don't typically like attorneys, so I struggle to advocate for them to get a pay raise.
Yeah. Well,
But the ones that are on my side, I do like them. I don't know what a rightful pay is in that world. I do know when you contract anything, it becomes extremely more expensive, but it
I don't
also
know,
involves a lot of headaches.
We've done a lot to ourselves.
I don't know how the state looks at that either, being that's still an elected position. If you don't have a county attorney, does the state statute allow you to contract?
You have to.
Well, I mean, you have to have somebody.
Right.
But then do you put it in the state's hands and they say, okay, you're gonna have to, this guy's gonna handle Marion County or this case. It takes it out away from our voters, it takes it away from us.
Right.
And gets expensive. So there's a lot of reasons not to go that route.
Well, I'm just gonna say this, and I think the position's well worth the money. But you've got two positions we put on here at pretty high salaries for Marion County.
Right.
And I think you've opened up what you said, Pandora's box. And so,
Now we're talking about electeds, so now that's got a whole nother category here. That's
yeah,
gonna be
Coming out
another
of,
ripple effect.
coming out of COVID, everything got skewed, put it that way.
so
Everybody wanted more money and try to fill a position.
you've got a sheriff that's handling numbers of people in elected. You've got the county treasurer, you've got the county clerk. There's Deeds isn't handling too much, but what they handle is rather important. And so, yeah, you've got wages here but when we hired two jobs, one at 100, one at 95,000 a year, I think it opened up some people's eyes, and they said, well,
Well, what about county health nurse?
the health nurse, yeah.
That was a huge jump.
That's another 80-some.
It's just what the market's paying.
Right, but you have to look at what you pay for those professions. Like an attorney, if you go out and you have to hire an attorney, how much you have to pay
Oh,
per
I know.
So,
And one thing on the internet says county attorneys from 80 to 140,000 in Kansas. And in Kansas City, the 55 to 150. And deputy attorneys are from 42 to 89.
Do you have any recommendation of how to proceed?
Would you look over the electeds as a whole?
Well, I mean,
I'd rather rip the Band-Aid off once.
here's the thing, we do have the steps that we've been doing for electeds that are incumbent, or as they've been in the job. So I would say that we have known for quite some time that the county attorney's salary was too low. And I've been talking about that for at least 2 years. So I think that you should probably look at somewhere between 90,000, around the 90 to $100,000 range for an attorney. 90 or 95 probably. And that would just be to try to bring that wage up to somewhat more competitive, especially because in Marion County, we have a huge issue of not being able to get attorneys. So that's where I would say that probably would be the starting point. Will that make someone file for the office? I don't know, but I feel like that is where it probably needs to be, somewhere in that range. And then as far as the other electeds, I would say that you probably want to wait to see the outcome of the election before you make changes, because those wages are pretty, I feel like they're pretty in line, especially with what you did last year with the $3 an hour raise for everybody over there. And you did make progress on wages last year. We just need to make sure that we're still staying competitive. Because you can set your wages. The thing is, if you have a brand new person coming into one of these elected offices, the way our pay scale is set up with, we've been doing one step every January for the electeds. Somebody coming in new would start lower than somebody that's been in the position for several years. And so that's why I would say you'd wanna potentially wait on the rest of those and look at them.
So on the attorney, would you set a pay band that would go from 90 to 110?
We'd have to see how to update that pay band exactly, but that was based, when we did that, that was based kind of on where our numbers already were for those positions.
Randy, what numbers were you kicking around in your head? I was honestly, I didn't want to say it out loud, but I was kicking around.
Hang on a second, okay, I don't know what you were gonna do, but I'll tell you.
The top of our pay plan right now is just under 90.
I went to look, see what a 10% was on 75, and then I went to a 20%. 20% comes out 15,000, puts you to 90,000. What she said, number there.
Which won't get a problem.
I don't know.
Well,
I mean, it's.
since he's been in the role, unexpired term and full with that, if you graduated that pay scale up from say 90 to 110, somewhere in there, would he still be in the same step? And really, I shouldn't even worry about it. Just a pay band to fit whoever signs up for the office, because there's no guarantees that it's for
Right,
him.
exactly, that's what I mean. If you're looking at an attorney, I think you need to be looking around that salary range for an attorney, regardless of who it is.
Since this office is up for election, it's not a guarantee that it's a race for him.
Right.
It's a race for the
It's the
position.
position, and it's who you wanna try to, if you're gonna try to be competitive and attracting someone to file for that office or not. And to pay them adequately for the kind of work that they do. So, I mean, that's just my input. You can do with it what you want. The pay scale and everything, we can develop and do research down the line to see where the market is. We may still be low, but
Okay, and what you're saying is a rate for an attorney, what we're coming in, say Joel don't run. So the 90,000, I was thinking because of experience maybe. But maybe your base starts at 85 and goes to that 150, 110, whatever you was, something like that. And then somebody comes in with re-elects themselves, why, you've got maybe, I don't know, whether you would go from experience for that then and raise it to 90 or.
Yeah, you gotta think about it being the position and not the
Yeah.
individual.
It's 109,000 for the average in Kansas.
So you would
If
split.
somebody wants to go to the city and work for a firm, we're ever gonna be able to pay enough.
Couldn't pay them.
Let's start at that.
What other benefits come along with, I mean, that you couldn't get in the private sector that you're getting by being an elected official? What are, I mean,
You're your own boss, you take care of your own business.
Get your name in the paper.
sometimes that isn't always good.
really you have the option as an elected official whether or not to participate in capers. Obviously we offer insurance, but other firms would offer that too, and they would probably have some semblance of some other kind of a retirement opportunity potentially, I don't really know.
Keys or whatever.
But
You don't get
Profit, it
vacation.
might be profit sharings in a firm.
So I mean, it's just taking everything into account too, if you can get close to being competitive, but then your benefits sometimes could sway somebody.
well, I think our yeah, never mind. I don't know.
I think our benefits have a lot of value.
I do see, and they're not in major cases, but I do see some communication back from the Marion County Attorney's Office to the public after something's happened to some of the public. I mean, whether it be a break-in or something to that effect. There's good communication happening back used to, you didn't have some communications back to the people that you was trying the case or what was happening with it and stuff like that. And people always expect too much too quick, but I have been seeing letters sent and this and that on cases, and that's, I think that's a good thing for what's happening right now, so.
I agree, I think that's valuable, it's just that's for the individual. We have to come up with a pay scale first.
Yeah.
And then figure out where that individual fits into that pay scale. Because right now, there is nobody, as of today, or an hour ago. There is nobody. Throw your name in the hat.
Well, my only question is, if the unaffiliateds can file later, if nobody files for the primary, can somebody still file unaffiliated in this case scenario, fill that position? Would that, if nobody filed on a primary Republican or something, we could still have talked somebody into taking that position unaffiliated?
What is that? That requires petition though.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
For attorney, it's 300 and some signatures.
That's doable. Sheriff just did it.
I mean, that was just a question I thought of. Is that a possibility to get somebody to file? And if they just went unaffiliated, then it would that make it official to
Any attorneys in that
elect
group?
them?
There's no one in.
Okay, the number it seemed to keep coming up, you said 20% is 15,000,
Yeah.
so it gets us
Push it to 90.
90,000.
And pay band it up
And
from there.
ended up.
From there.
I think you gotta be north of 100.
It's gonna be pretty hard to make that jump in one.
If you
I
want
tend to agree
somebody-
with where Randy's at. You may start out at 100 and not even get any.
Yeah,
Gotta start out somewhere.
Randy, you're at 90. Yeah, that's where you were.
That's where I'm at.
20%.
When you were at 90.
Yeah.
I threw out 100, even though I was thinking that was high, but I threw it
that's
out.
where I'm at is 100.
100.
So 93.
You're at 93. You gotta make it hard.
No, I'll bring it to 93.
95, and then, yeah. 93.
2 at 90, 2 at 100.
Make sure.
Like I said, with that as step band, you know, because some people come in brand new and they gotta learn the whole.
But again, it comes back to what John was saying, position.
Yeah.
You gotta be qualified county attorney.
Oh, yeah. You gotta be an attorney to be a county attorney.
94.6.
We did an average while you were gone there,
Okay,
Miss Administrator.
that's good. I thought I should give you some breathing room.
We're at 94.6 for the starting point, build a pay band on top of that.
Okay, I see, it looks
I'll
skeptical.
second that.
Well, some of them were 90, some were
You haven't
100,
you haven't had a motion yet.
I know, I haven't had a motion to vote on.
and one was at 93, so.
So do we have a motion for the attorney salary?
I'll make a motion that we start a pay band at $94,500 and build it up north of 100 somewhere.
I have a motion, do we have a second?
I would second that.
Commissioner Dalkey, second. Any discussion? I know it's a big jump, but there's a lot of factors that go into it. I feel like we've had a good discussion on it.
And just reiterate, this is for the position.
It's for the
For the
position.
position. There's 0 filings as of today.
So all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 4-1. Commissioner Becker opposed. And on the rest of them, recommendations to.
Yeah, we can address those a little bit later.
All right. Health Department project.
Cody just left. He was there. Must have had to go use the restroom.
Tired of waiting on this.
One thing I can say, I did give you the bid tabs in your packet. Those were for the scopes of work that the building committee reviewed and was good with as far as approving. There are a couple other ones that we still need to talk about and did not want to move forward with yet. But so that's the scopes of work that you have in your packet were plumbing, erection of the metal building, the storefront, masonry, and the hollow metal door frames and accessories.
Any questions from other commissioners or comments from the committee?
No, it's good to, he's just given us the three, usually if he's got three bids, he can look through and see, I think they're all up there, just, yeah, on the screen. And you can see where they come in at, and he gives us recommendations, and like one of them he didn't know too well, but they're working for the hospital here in town. They're doing the plumbing, I think, here, so that's how he got it to us here the other day, and I was tickled to just, see that he's doing some research on each one of the bids coming in.
Mm-hmm.
So he had some, he's had some contact with some of them he hasn't.
And the last time you all voted on all the scopes, so I just decided to bring them all back to you again.
These are all apparently,
Yes.
Yes.
and the local is, on some of them is not within 10%, so. And that's just unspoken rule.
I didn't check on that 10%.
But I can tell you,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
it's
You
a
can
third,
tell.
it's 30%.
So what were the scopes again?
Plumbing, metal building erection, storefront, masonry, and the hollow metal door frames and accessories.
Since we established a president at the last set of ones coming in, I'd take a motion to approve these scopes of work.
I would make the motion to approve the, was it 4 or 5? All 4 of them.
5.
All 5 of them. That's the low bid.
Motion by Commissioner Dahlke to accept. Is there a second?
Second,
Second by Commissioner Crowfoot. Other questions or discussion? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0.
Okay, and I think it might have been in my report. I've written some things down, I can't remember for sure. On the flooring, just circling back around on that, the local contractor did provide some samples. They were not the desired specifications.
Yes.
And so we ended up going back with the low bid on the specification, the specified materials, so.
pretty much everything's on schedule.
Okay.
There's some set-
How about, has everything been provided for, well, that's yet today or tomorrow, you're doing that, everything for her to the health
So,
paperwork.
oh yeah, thanks for mentioning that. Just 1 second.
The grants.
First is on.
So I did get that's one other thing I wanted to ask you about, because at one of the other meetings, you said something about me taking care of the invoices and all of that. But we did get the first pay application, which includes the bond and just the scopes for the grant. And so that was approved by the architect. It was sent on to me this morning and I initialed it. I'll send that around for you to review. I guess I would like to know if the board is okay with me approving those. Since everything's already been approved, it's just the progress payments and then providing you the documentation, or do you wanna take action on each one of those as they come in?
I mean, the contract amount is a contract amount, right?
Right.
Yeah, I mean, review it.
All right. Toby and Cody.
Howdy. You know, you want us up there or everyone? You gotta have the hot spot.
That's right. I'm used to it.
We'll put Cody on the hot seat. And you can be in the heckler section.
That's fair enough. That's fair enough.
Support.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I mean, the support. You know how to tease
Where would you like to start, or?
Well, we've got just a couple topics, some that we're gonna carry on and stuff too in our weekly meeting or whatever too, that we're still kind of in the process of evolving. But I think there was one topic that has been recently discussed in regards to the framing and the selection of materials on the framing and stuff too, whether we go metal, stud work or wood. I think that's a topic at this point too.
That was one of the main things that I wanted to put on the agenda today, because after the committee meeting, Commissioner Dahlke wanted to be sure that that came to the full board to talk about.
And this was about whether we run metal studs all the way up or we run wood studs all the way up. That was it. You said we could probably save somewhere around $7,000 or
Yeah, five to 7,500.
going to wood in the metal building. So I know you work in them, and I know you built the building here for your cafe and things, and I didn't know whether you had any preference, whether you'd use metal studs, whether you'd use wood studs in your metal building, and I didn't know. So that's why that was put up to today to ask you guys your opinions.
Wood studs would then all of a sudden be considered Class 5 construction?
Yeah, so the wood studs does not affect the glass of the building. We have cleared that with Chris.
Okay.
And he said it doesn't affect any of the code issues as far as fire rating, fire alarm, any of those things. One thing that I would encourage you guys to check out is if it at all affects you from an insurance standpoint. But as far as I'm concerned, it does add a little bit more work for some of the trades as far as roughing. Tried to kind of take that into consideration with the savings there. But for me, really the only downfall for it is, you've got the potential of termites down the road at some point. But all wood's treated for that stuff nowadays, and we can add an extra layer, treat it again prior to hanging sheetrock. That would be my only downfall to it. Other than that, it makes, from a structural standpoint, these walls aren't structural, so that doesn't matter. But technically, I think a wood stud's gonna be a lot stronger than just light gauge metal studs. And then just, it's a little bit more labor for the trades to rough in wood walls than it is metal. But other than that, I just wanted it to put it out in front of you all as a potential savings, and the fact that we could use a local contractor to put that in.
The only input that I have, guys, would be when Kent and I took a look at that old health building there, or not the health, but the gym facilities there, those interior walls was all wood in that building. So Kent and I saw that when we was up there, so.
About speed, like wood versus metal, because I work around a lot of metal studs, and I mean that seems like demising walls, all kinds of stuff. It's less than a day, it's done.
Yeah, I think there's probably a little bit more efficiency there from the woods or the steel studs is concerned. But I look at it as, I've got a quote to put the steel studs up labor wise. I've got a quote for the wood studs to put those up. Same way on the material side, I've got a quote for material for both ends. And when I add them together and take into consideration the little extra that it takes you guys to rough in, I come up with a 5 to 7,500 savings. And it's tough to really sort that efficiency out and say what is the value there. We may save a day or two time wise, but what is that? I can't really pull that part out and say, okay, it's this amount of dollars you're saving in efficiency. But
I wouldn't really worry. I'm thinking more about your hard deadline. We got the end of the year we have to hit. So if we add more time, that makes your job harder than it already is, and I just don't want to add to that.
I really only see it as a few day deal, which isn't a real deal.
But it also allows you to use a local.
Yes, sir.
I'm good with that.
Which I think that's one of
Drill holes.
the heaviest valuations on this too, is that
Whoever gets it.
And that
Drill holes.
may actually be time factor too, because local might be able to get in.
And the headaches aren't quite as bad. You know, if they pull off and go to another job, you can work at a local a little easier to get them back.
I agree with what you said too. I mean, my career and stuff, I mean, in commercial buildings, stud is 80% metal. I mean, you're just around it all the time, a lot more of what I've worked in. However, in this case, there are some different valuations in that to consider with a local trade, local, vendor at this point.
It's just,
it's worth it.
Like a metal stud, just talking from HVAC, electrical or plumbing is, you forget to tell them I need a box out somewhere. It's not a big deal. You get your tin snips out, you cut it out, you throw a stud in there, you brace it back, away you go. Lumber, yeah, you gotta get a saw out, cut it. I mean, you gotta measure it right. There ain't no figuring stuff out.
It's got its
Takes a little more
pluses and
pre-planning.
minuses, yeah.
Is there a difference in longevity as far as the steel versus the?
The wood don't get wet.
Yes, steel's rated for a longer life cycle and stuff too than wood is by manufacturer standards, but I mean, it's all depends on if we.
Better not be wet in there.
Yeah. We got bigger problems than
Exactly.
studs, if that's the case.
Well, that was the reason why we brought it to you, because we knew you guys had some opinions on that, and the only one I had was what I saw from that building up there.
I like the idea of savings, and I like the idea of using a local. So
It's 2+.
that's gonna win the day for me.
Any other comments? Kent, you got anything that you?
No, I
Okay.
agree with Jonah.
Consensus will be to go with wood studs. Next.
One of the other ones and stuff that we're kind of can start discussing a little bit was there was a little bit of confusion in regards to generator, not necessarily the sizing of it, but the rating of it with regards to the healthcare, and we got some clarification on that from PEC today as well, that it would not be required for this to meet NFPA 99 standards on this particular building because it is a B-class occupancy. As opposed to, we don't need emergency generator, we just need standby generation at this point is what we're looking for. So that may help in that, difference between.
What we was hearing at the meeting the other day was there was $15,000 difference between a standby generator and a health generator. I didn't know what the difference was, and so that's why we asked this question. Now,
I caught the tail end of some of those conversations, so I try to stay out of it.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I
I guess Mike,
there's no critical access at this facility. Like, there's nobody sitting on an operating table that is unconscious, that can't defend themselves, that can't run out in the event of a fire, well, you've gotta have that critical safety where your generator kicks in within 10 seconds. Your load tests are done within every year at 30% minimum or higher. There's a lot of extra fees that go along with a healthcare generator, not just the initial 15,000, because you've got to hire a company in to load bank it.
Yep.
There's extra things that are not necessary for this facility, and I don't want to weigh into this one too hard, but I do want to weigh into it on the cost aspect, because it isn't necessary.
According to the architect and PEC today too, they concurred with that for that misunderstanding.
That was my opinion as well.
So, I agree with that too on B.
so we go back down to that and see, when you first talk healthcare, I'm thinking, oh, just because it's healthcare, it's got a different standard but it's not. It's because of what the purpose they do, that then they become another standard. I understand that now. Okay.
Good question.
And those were the two prominent ones and stuff too that we needed your guys' input on today to kind of clarification is one too, and then also obviously the wood and metal stud, we need that direction. There's a couple more that we'll kind of table and stuff that we're still developing right now for this week's meeting, and then we can bring it back to the meeting. So
Very good.
but that was predominantly what we.
Did they start the date demolition?
They're mobilizing today. You won't see any actual demo today. We're just getting equipment on site, put up some safety barriers, and
Get ready.
we'll be knocking stuff down today or tomorrow or the next day, so.
Cool.
Traffic will pick up.
You'll really see some things happen here.
It's exciting.
We've got clear direction on wood now. be able to proceed.
Yep, the only other thing on the generators, I think we need to have a discussion on the size, and just understand what's gonna happen, because I think there's differing opinions between who is the apparent low, on electrical versus what the engineers believe, so I just wanna sit down and talk about that, and, you know, we may be able to get by with the 60 kW and do everything that we want to there, so I think that's a discussion for the group and the committee, so.
Anything else for us? Any questions from commission?
So, just, the only thing on the generators would be the load calc on your RTUs. I mean, that's the critical thing. So as long as you've got enough oomph for those, a lot of times they oversize everything else.
That's what we're trying to get through, is how much has PEC really kind of over-engineered it to the rule, you know, type of a deal too, and what real world will actually be.
The facility on the whole is probably gonna pull 40, 50 amps on the daily, except when the ACs kick in. That's really what you're sizing that generator for. So if you didn't need AC, you can get by with a lot smaller generator.
And that's, I think, to Cody's
That's the
point, is what we
question.
really need to sit down and kind of really get between what PEC has engineered on that too and what practical is gonna be.
Well, I'm not saying that 60 is the way to go, and I'm not saying that 80. I think that would be a good discussion for everybody to sit down and have between you guys as the end user, the electrical contractor. That's why I'd like a little bit of a clarification there, so we could get down the road with an electrical contractor, and then we can have these discussions face to face, so everybody's on the same page on what the expectations are and what we can and can't do, and what's designed and versus what can actually be done, so.
Very good. Yeah, for me personally, the difference between a 60 and an 80, you've already made the jump to a water-cooled generator. Your biggest expense has already been there. Now you're talking,
It's not much to go from 60 to 80, honestly.
it's not. You've already made the jump from a home standby to a commercial. You started that at 48, 60 and 80, I mean, so you're not really moving mountains at that point anymore.
All right, anything else?
Would that be, then we need a price, to look at the price and see what we do? No, okay.
Well, I mean, we can look at the price, but at this stage of the game, it doesn't make a difference on who's gonna do the work.
Okay.
Very good.
Ready? Move on.
All right, thank you, guys.
Thank you.
When do we need to meet again? Right.
Thursday's meeting.
About 2 hours, they got something special for you.
What time?
30?
1:30. On the calendar, I don't know. Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
All right, concludes the agenda. Mike, you have public comments?
Well, a little one, not to knock the efforts on the road rebuild east of Lincolnville. But I was under the impression we were to sustain 24-foot wide road, only a 5-degree slope. There's places where that's not correct. It's narrower and excess of 5-degree slope. My prediction was we would have the first crash in 30 days. So I would like to note to the commission that the first crash has happened this weekend. So that's about all I got to say about it.
All right. Any commission comments?
Yeah, maybe this needs to be put on the agenda, but I looked, the new book here today, this is in the transfer station fund. I just,
What page you on?
page 56. Just looking at low numbers sitting there for the operating capital and stuff, and our administrator will pull us right out of this, I know that, but I was just saying.
You already have.
Well, I worry about what we take in, what we're taking off the payroll, every one of those houses and things that were going into the food or the land bank. We're taking off $100 and each town's got them, so you probably got 5,000, 10,000 off, I don't know. But that's all, and we're taking in more trash, I talked to Josh, here the other day, and we're taking in more trash partially because of Peabody. I mean, Peabody's bringing their trash this way now instead of going to Newton, Wichita. So that means more trucks, trailers going down, more expense. So I just concerned that number there.
You talking about the C and D that's coming in?
No, trash,
Yeah,
trash.
but you was talking about taking houses off.
Well, he's talking about when houses go in the land bank, their taxes are taken off, and so we're losing the solid waste assessment fee on those.
Yeah.
That's what he means.
Yeah, but
When
we're
you have
losing it, right?
properties that are-
Yeah, so that's, I'm just ringing a bell here.
That is something, working on the budget a little bit over the weekend,
Oh.
just letting you know that there are some funds that are a little concerning, and that is one of them, the
Cool.
transfer station.
Cool.
Because we're gonna have to look at,
Good.
really have to look at that and try to
Yeah.
figure out how
Okay.
that's gonna go.
Well, if an email goes out, send it to all of us. I miss them sometimes.
I will. I haven't sent out any emails, I was just working on it at home.
I just didn't like my numbers that I see here. I bet you we could go back 10 years ago or so and see some different numbers in these purple books.
Did we, so in 2023, we had already
We raised.
raised that 25%.
Yeah.
It reflects the increase.
Okay, so that higher
Oh.
number is.
No, we raised, so
2023.
we
Budget?
raised it'd be for this year. We raised, the residential, and then now we've raised everything again, like, including the commercial.
So
So that would
24 will show another increase.
We should see more for this calendar year.
Yeah.
Coming in than we did in 23.
I was wondering what that budgeted number was, because before it used to be 800 and something.
No, six, something, wasn't it, 660 or something. I'd have to go back and look,
Yeah.
for the solid waste assessment fees.
I got my point across. You guys are all aware of it now, so.
Yeah, but I will confirm that was
Okay.
looking a little scary to me and when looking at the budget.
We will be talking about it more.
That'll work. Thank you. That's the only commission comment I got.
That's a good point. So that's one that we did do something about, we need to watch.
Yeah, that there really wasn't much of an increase in income between 22 and 23. Well, we'll get more in depth later, right? Okay. Under comments, yes. Commissioner Decker.
I think you did see Sharon did make some comments about 30-30. Some of the concerns and some of the things, although, she did have a disclaimer in there that she's not real familiar with it. So at some point soon, I think we should put it back on the agenda to discuss whether we want to go ahead with a resolution or let it drop.
Do you want to tackle it next week or wait another week?
Doesn't matter to me.
Well, you all had talked about having it be kind of a slow process and getting public input, maybe have public hearings, something like that, and running through planning and zoning, so.
Maybe 2 weeks.
And the next planning and
Some-
zoning meeting.
Some input.
At the end of next month. They have it the fourth Thursday.
As long as they have it.
Yeah, if they don't have anything on the agenda,
Well, this could
and
be
it's
on the agenda.
June too. June, yeah.
This could be on the agenda.
Yeah. Well, if nothing else, we can just do an informational discussion about it again at that point.
I think at some point in time, we need to either say yea or nay, we're gonna support it or not.
Okay. All right.
I think the minutes reflected that we wanted a resolution.
Yeah.
We just wanted to make sure it was worded correctly.
Okay.
I think that was consensus of everybody, was to have a resolution.
I have to go back and look for.
We need to make sure that we didn't knee-jerk and cause an undue problem, stress and problem.
Well, I'm not saying to rush it. I just say, I think we need to decide.
And Randy wasn't sure yet
Yeah,
in those minutes. I remember reading that. He wanted to see more.
One other comment there to our administrator, meals and stuff outside of, for employees, do we have any highlights or guidelines or what?
You haven't set a limit as far as the dollar amount.
We didn't?
No, we never have had a limit as far as what they can. You did say, try to be reasonable when you go out. That's the last thing you said, which was, it's been quite a few years ago. So
I don't know.
there's, some counties have a per diem where they just say, you can go and this is how much you get for the day. We don't care where you spend it or how, but that's your allowance. Some places do that to where, and then they don't have to worry about receipts and all that.
Yeah.
Others do like what we do, and you have to have the detailed itemized receipt, but you guys have never set a limit as
It's
far as.
definitely changed since I've been out on the road.
Yeah.
I mean, it's definitely changed, but I do
It
think.
might be a good time to start talking about a per diem though, because we know in the past, we've gotten some.
Yeah.
And
We got all,
I know everything's inflated. You're gonna have to have
Yeah.
$20 to walk into McDonald's now. But,
it seems like it, yeah.
you know, it'd be nice if we did have some kind of a set, this is what you get, spend it where you want.
Yeah.
Type thing.
Or so much meal, I don't.
Or set a limit as far as how much you will pay towards a meal.
Yeah, I like that idea. Then you know what you got. If they wanna spend over, it comes out of their pocket. I mean, I don't have too many $40 meals in my life. Just a fact.
You ain't been to Charlie's Steakhouse in Kissimmee, Florida?
No, I haven't.
Just an FYI, the average between the 3 meals is $20.
So, I mean,
Putting into perspective. So I mean, and this is what I do with my guys. So if they wanna go for lunch and they wanna go get a $5 value menu, this or that, and they go out and get a steak that night, I'm usually okay with that because they've spent real small amounts for all their other meals. So that they didn't, but if they went out to get a steak for lunch, supper, and then went and got breakfast, or a steak and egg for breakfast, I'm gonna have a problem with that.
Yeah.
But if you can kind of conserve sometimes and then go treat,
And that's,
as long as it averages down.
that's the advantage of a per diem also. And keep in mind too, that sometimes when you go to a class or a training or whatever, if there's a group that all goes out, you're going wherever they're going,
Right.
so,
Well, sometimes it's across the street.
right.
If you don't really wanna go get an Uber, then
Right, exactly.
Then
So
that
there's
adds to
sometimes
it.
logistical things. There's a lot of things that play into it.
But thank you for some
That
heads
was-
up there.
I was appreciative that some of the lower amounts were also added in there. So that way, that one stuck out, and it's like, oh my God. But then you see the lower ones and you think, well, they were trying.
Just we was really craving a steak.
All right, can we get an update on the Bent Rims event?
Oh,
Florence.
I didn't go.
I didn't either, I cut trees.
I stayed home.
I know Kent's got an update.
maybe Phyllis can comment. No. I would guess that it was a very successful event. Again, 500 riders, whatever it was. A lot of spectators. I spoke to the riders, so I tried to hype Marine County a little bit, but when you got 500 guys that are flaunching at the bit, But I wanted them to know where they were and how historical this county is. And so, there was a couple of kind of bad injuries, but they're gonna be all right.
2 broken bones, I think.
That's not as bad as what.
EMS did a terrific job. They did have to pick up one guy off the track, so they had to navigate.
And did you see the EMS pickup vehicle that mule they had?
They had the side by side.
Yeah, it had side by side.
Yeah.
Owned by the hospital district maybe 10 or 15 counties.
Yeah.
It's all terrain and
Oh, okay.
air conditioned and all set up.
Nice.
But it was well
They go out in the
organized. I mean, the
field.
people that are doing that, they know what they're doing.
Good.
And I think we can probably, at this point, call it the greatest motorcycle race in Kansas.
By far.
In the Midwest.
So, emergency management went and requested those ATVs, there were 2 of them. They went and Marcy went and picked them up from some other counties so that we could have those there for.
Tell her thank you for that, because somebody wouldn't known it if we didn't, somebody hadn't seen them.
Yeah.
I think we have a couple of those.
They were there a couple years ago.
Oh, were they?
Yeah, we
have a couple
don't-
of those rescue,
Not
Chris
rescue,
had one, side by side.
not rescue. We've got some,
Those particular ones are long in the back so they can have a stretcher on them,
Right. Right.
and we don't own any of those.
I got medicine on board and everything.
Okay, well, whatever it was,
Wow.
it,
That's something.
But I think that we may be looking at a grant to try to buy one at some point. Not anytime in the near future, but it'd be good to have.
a lot of food vendors, plus the local food places, I think they all probably would call it a successful day and a lot of, and other vendors too. I mean, there was other people selling their stuff there. There was even a mobile repair shop. We were fixing some tires.
That's funny. Hey, I did get feedback, that Morris and Chase County shared attorney, they do that. And Chase County pays, 50,592 and Morris pays over 70. So for that one attorney, it's 120 something. So just letting you know, I did get a
Thank you.
response back on that.
That was helpful.
Thank you.
All right, anything else? If not, our next meeting is this Friday, payday, the
9 o'clock.
1st at 9 o'clock. And the next regular meeting will be on the next Monday, June 3rd. And with that, I move to adjourn.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Dalkey. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Motion carried 5-0. We are adjourned.
That building Thursday